Okay, guys, back with another one for you here. Got something really interesting to show you today from Seiko. I promised I'd get another one up for you very soon. Really quickly here, wanted to show you I had a very amazing opportunity to see a once-in-a-lifetime thing here while in Thailand. The King of Thailand passed away in October 2016, and after a year of mourning by the whole country, they throughout that year built an extraordinary funeral pyre in his memory to send him up to heaven, and they kept it erected for a period of time briefly here up until the end of December 2017, and I had a chance to go and see this, and I have to tell you, it was really something to behold. In some ways, it was like going to see a World Heritage Site, albeit one that would be erected for this specific purpose, and then it is being taken down. So really something remarkable to be able to witness. I was very lucky to have been able to see it, and really shows the deep, deep reverence for the former king of Thailand. Okay, guys, well, I want to show you some extraordinary stuff. I've got a chance to take a look at here recently. As always on the hunt for interesting things. And you can see here, I did get a chance to take a look at some really cool Seiko and Orient stuff while I was out on the road. Always fun hunting around, seeing what I can find in watches when I'm out on the road. You can see here I got a chance to check out Citizen. It's like a his and hers option. Eco Drive 200 meter in a rose gold on a silicone strap. Really interesting version of this. Loved the build quality and the design overall. Really nice coin-edged bezel on this one. Great fit and finish. Hope to see more from these guys in the automatic range for diving. They really go on Eco Drive. You can see here, speaking of that, I got a chance to look at a vintage version. A lot of guys like to call this one the Citizen Submariner. It's an automatic 200 meter and just a great looking version. These are getting hard to find. If you like Citizen, you like Citizen Automatic, keep your eyes open for that one. Occasionally they show up online. They are getting harder to find each day. And lastly here, a really interesting version of the Seiko Monster, a limited edition in a terrific color that is a little bit off the wall, but rare and hard to find. For those of you guys that really love the orange Monster, well, here's your day glow, kind of a yellow happening here. Really interesting version of this one, and gotta love the Seiko Monster. Okay, well, let's get into it. Let's get a look at this one here. Okay, well, there it is. This is the Seiko Blue Baby Turtle, the SRPC39 or the SRPC39K1, and this is a very interesting new take on the concept of the cushion case style diver for Seiko, making it in some ways more appealing to a larger range of folks with smaller wrists. But you know what? What's kind of interesting about this one is, though it is smaller in dimension, we'll talk a little bit about those specifically, it isn't exactly a dainty watch by any stretch of the imagination. So up ahead here, we'll talk a little bit about the dimensions and do a head-to-head. I will make some interesting comparisons briefly with you that I noticed when I finally got this one in front of me. You can see here the Seiko Sumo. In some ways, the case design on this new baby turtle concept reminds me a little bit about the way they've done some things with the lines. It almost has some similarities there, even though we're talking in some ways about a cushion case and another variation of the turtle, as you can see here with the Seiko Zimby turtle. The way the lugs come out and the way it just sort of presents itself reminds me a little bit about some of the case design lines on the Sumo itself. Now you can see here I've put it next to another quick reveal there, guys, this Seiko Zimby Samurai. Stay tuned for that very soon on the channel. I will be showing you that one in detail. Putting it here next to the Samurai, we've got a width, case width of about 42.3 millimeters for the Seiko Baby Turtle. So it is not exactly a miniature piece here. We are over 42 millimeters. However, because of the size of the bezel, and we've got the crown at 3 o'clock, it doesn't exactly show that on the wrist. It plays differently for sure on the wrist. Now I've got about a 7.5, between a 7.5 and 7.75 inch wrist, and you can see how it sits on my wrist. The bezel width here is about 39 millimeters, so it definitely trends a little lower, but it still has a substantial size, and really obvious here when we put it on a female wrist. You can see same model, the blue model on a female wrist. We're trending a little bigger there, and here we have the black model. This one typically comes on the silicone strap, but you can see the sales girl here showed me hers, and she has put it on a really nice green leather strap. So very interesting variation there. One thing to point out is both of their wrists are at 5.5 inches. So if you are in the lower wrist size category, you can get a sense of its size there. One thing to point out very quickly, I'm going to show you these two models here. If you compare the Indus, it's an assortment of Indus from these two watches, in my opinion, although they are three-dimensional and raised on these two models, these two Patty models specifically I wanted to show you. However, I believe the Induses are a collection of those two, and they're just lower in profile. Get a look and tell me what you think. You can see underneath, typical kind of style with the tsunami wave there and just an individual serial number. No special designation for this one aside from that. The crown at 3 o'clock, very consistent, very solid, no problem with it at all. I did find that the bezel on this one was, in fact, a little tough to manipulate with one hand. It was doable, however, a little bit of work there when you wanted to do that while holding the camera. Now here I show you the all-steel black model. It actually feels a little more substantial in terms of how it sits on my wrist as compared to when I had the silicone strap on. So that I will point out. If you are looking at the steel model, you may find that that one sits on the wrist a little bit differently. And of course, comparing it to the deep blue, full-size, deep blue Batman turtle. If you have not seen that one, guys, just to point out, I just posted that review very recently on the channel. Go and check that one out. It is up on the channel right now. Okay, well, now comparing it side by side to the full-size turtle, we'll run through some of these specs. Full-size turtle, approximately 14 millimeters thick. This one, the smaller one there on the right, is going to be about 13 millimeters thick. So if you've got an SKX, you're in about the size of thickness on the wrist as that one. Okay, so strap width, we're talking 2 millimeters less instead of 22 millimeters from either side of the lug to the other. For the width of the strap, you've got 20 millimeters. So if you've got a Seiko Sumo, some of you guys with that larger case felt that the 20 millimeter width there was not right on target in terms of the size. Well, on this one, your case size is overall smaller, and it definitely seems to fit the sizing a little more on this version, for sure. Again, the construction of the clasp and the band, basically the same things, just a smaller version when you're looking at it. Overall, same pressed stainless clasp with the flip lock. On the wrist, I have to tell you guys, I find this a very appealing size, for sure. Even if you aren't looking for a smaller diver, if you generally like to have something in this size category, just above 40, but maybe trending a little lower based on the bezel size, it's an excellent size overall for just about anyone. So overall, guys, it really is, I think, a very nicely executed variation of a cushion case diver. If that's what you've been looking for and you were hoping for something that perhaps was a little less heavy and thick on the wrist overall, this could be the one for you. I think that the bezel is functional, a little bit stiff, but functional overall. Very legible dial, nicely laid out. The Cyclops works, I think, quite well for the fact that it just has the date on this, not a day-date feature. And I just think it's a really nicely done version from Seiko. And I'd love to hear what you guys think about this one overall. I enjoyed having it on my wrist. I've got not a giant wrist, but certainly not a smaller one. I still felt like it was enough watch for my size wrist, and it will still be something that will work across a broader spectrum of wrist sizes overall. Guys, tell me what you think about this one. Is this one you've been looking for? Is it one that you think is perhaps a bit of a reach from Seiko, or are they just trying to fit more folks into this particular segment of a very popular reissue, which I think has been terrific overall? Guys, I'd love to hear from you. Definitely tell me what you think. Like and subscribe if you want to see more Seiko. I've got more coming up, and really quickly, I just want to show you, just take a quick sneak peek at what's coming up next on the channel very soon, as you can see here. Stay tuned, please. Thanks again for coming back and checking things out on the channel. And as always, guys, I will talk to you soon.